Is this going better quicker than you thought it would?
No. I know the caliber of player that I am, and it's never about anything except for winning with me.
I'm scared.
Okay.
I'm scared, and if I'm 1 or 2, I'm low-key ducking. Let's lose a couple games, see if we can get another team in that first round. But any team with Steph Curry in the first round, I'm scared. I'm scared.
If the big bad boogeyman DeMarcus Cousins is scared of the Golden State Warriors on behalf of any team in the West that has to play them in the first round, ladies and gentlemen, the league is in trouble. So many people have discounted the man who led Team USA to a gold medal after going up against the best players in the world.
That's unfair.
So many have bet against Steph Curry before, but consider this a warning from a former NBA All-Star. If you're a top seed in the Western Conference and you are going to go up against the Golden State Warriors to face Steph Curry, Jimmy Butler, and a motivated Draymond Green, the things you have to do to beat that trio 4 times out of 7 will ensure you never win another basketball game for the rest of the postseason. What makes this team so scary? Why should anyone be afraid of Steph Curry, Jimmy Butler, or even Draymond Green for that matter? Well, buckle up. We're going to discuss what this trio of 16-game players are capable of doing once this team gets to the playoffs. Before they get to the playoffs, however, they have 24 remaining games. Are these guys capable of playing hard for 24 games and then 16? They're going to need a bit of help to get it done. And this is what's scary about the Warriors, because as a collective, this is their trump card. This will allow them to continue biding time for the team's vets. To find out which young players I'm talking about, be sure to watch all the way to the end of the video. There's a lot to be excited about with the direction of the team, especially with their latest escapade, going up against the Charlotte Bobcats. Because let's be real, that's how they look playing against the Warriors. Let's find out why that is and why the Warriors continue to be so dominant. Before that, however, be sure to like the video and subscribe to Swish Culture for the most analytical and entertaining NBA content on the planet. Now get ready. You're about to get This trio is every playoff team's worst nightmare. You don't need me to tell you that. We've all seen what they're capable of doing. Since the acquisition of Jimmy Butler 7 games ago, Steph Curry is shooting 48.5% from the field. Before Jimmy, he was shooting 44%. This wasn't a gradual rise either, it was actually quite sharp. Now, his 3-point shooting is still the same, so what we're seeing is better finishing inside the arc from Steph Curry. After looking into it a bit further, I created this chart which shows Steph Curry's efficiency over his last 14 games. The first 7 indicated by the blue line are without Jimmy. The last 7 with the red line are with Jimmy. This is saying that there is an established trend of better efficiency when Steph Curry plays with Jimmy versus without Jimmy, and it is getting better. It turns out Steph's also taking the same number of threes, 87 total before and 84 after. There is, however, a significant difference in overall field goal attempts, 152 field goal attempts before compared to 133 after. That's about 20 less shots inside the paint than usual over a 7-game period. Now this plot just got really interesting. In the same games prior to Jimmy's arrival, Steph attempted 26 free throws, while in the 7 games after, he attempted a whopping 36. That's a very significant 38% increase. So as it turns out, Steph isn't taking less twos, he's simply getting to the line more. Some might consider this a small sample size, but it does raise some eyebrows. Why they're giving him a better whistle, it's probably too early to tell, but something has changed. If I'm a numbers guy, I'm telling Curry to shoot less threes and take it to the rack. Wait a second, what's this? Steph Curry shot less than 10 threes per game in each of his last 3 games? The last time Steph Curry shot less than 10 attempts per game at least 3 times in a row was at the beginning of the season, where he shot less than 10 attempts 4 games in a row. The Warriors at that point had a 5-1 record. This means that he's shouldering a lot less of the scoring load as he did earlier in the season, and likely feels a bit more comfortable as the team is playing better like it was earlier on with him off the floor. You know, when Buddy Hield and Jonathan Kuminga were giving you 35 plus off the bench. Except the Warriors are doing this without Kuminga. Draymond Green has been averaging more points, more assists, more blocks, and more steals since playing with Butler. In short, he's also a better player next to Jimmy. Now I'm really curious. Is Jimmy really raising the floor of the Warriors players in real time? Offensively, Moses Moody is giving you what he was before Jimmy. However, on the defensive end, he's averaging more blocks and more steals in his last 7 games. Pods has seen the same sort of improvement as Moody defensively. However, his offense is slightly lower as he's taking and making less threes. What I'm seeing here overall is that Jimmy was able to integrate himself into the Warriors offense with an almost negligible amount of negative disruption. His overall impact has been positive and seemingly raises the floor of the players I've mentioned. The most important aspect of all this, however, is the fact that while Jimmy has been taking the game seriously, he hasn't gone into takeover mode, and considering the newness of the team, it isn't surprising. What I mean is that Jimmy respects this as Curry's team, but as time goes by, expect him to take more of an alpha role when it comes to closing out tough games, especially when it gets to the playoffs. By doing this, he's able to raise the ceiling of the team, which is what he did to enable the Heat to get to the NBA Finals over teams like the Knicks, 76ers, Bucks, and even the Celtics. The Warriors without Jimmy are a much better team than the Heat without Jimmy, so it's only reasonable to expect that this team, as constructed, has a fairly good shot at facing whomever comes out of the Eastern Conference. So how did all this play out against Charlotte? It was rather tough in the beginning for the Warriors. Both teams actually struggled to hit shots. Golden State started getting some separation and they never relinquished the lead. LaMelo Ball was out with an ankle injury, making things even tougher for Charlotte. Without LaMelo Ball, the Hornets are an atrocious NBA team. This loss to the Warriors capped off the worst 3-game stretch of any NBA team in the history of the game. In LaMelo's place, their starting point guard is a 6-foot rookie whom they drafted in the middle of the 2nd round, KJ Simpson. What's even worse is that he was the Hornets' leading scorer. This isn't to say Simpson is bad, as he was one of the players I was hoping the Warriors targeted with their 2nd round pick before they landed on post. But it goes to show you just how ridiculously under-talented this team is without their star point guard, LaMelo. They are currently 1-20. That is, 1 win and 20 losses without LaMelo this season. Following 3 straight losses, the last team they beat was the Los Angeles Lakers, where they somehow managed to close out Luka and LeBron. I suppose they had LaMelo Ball. After that game, they lost another 3 before facing a devastating blowout from the Golden State Warriors. That being said, the Warriors were facing a team that could manage to pull an upset if their cards were right, but the Warriors also needed to send a clear message to the rest of the league. Because the lead was so massive, Kerr emptied the bench quite early and giving the bench guys some playing time. The biggest standout to me was Kevin Knox II, who had 12 points, 5 rebounds, 4 assists, 1 steal, and 2 blocks while shooting 2 of 4 from distance in 15 minutes. For those who don't know, Knox is a 6'8" wing that can stretch the floor. He was originally drafted by the Knicks with the 9th overall pick out of Kentucky, and since then has been shuffled around to the Hawks, Pistons, and Blazers as well before being relegated to the G League. He eventually made his way to Santa Cruz, and considering the Warriors needed to fill a roster spot, they gave him a 10-day contract. I mean, he had been playing very well down there in Santa Cruz, so it makes sense. So far, he projects in playing style to be a 6'8" Moses Moody. The only difference is the Albatross has a bigger wingspan than Knox, who measures in at 6'11". Considering how well he's played so far on the contract, averaging 7 points, 3 rebounds, and almost 1 block in just 8 minutes, Steve might want to give him a shot in the rotation to see how he holds up. Except at 6'8", he's likely going to be a stretch 5 and the tallest player if he manages to get into the starting lineup at some point in the future. At only 25 years old, the fact that he did so well in Kentucky and is doing as well as he is now The Warriors might have gotten lucky with this pickup. Knox might be able to turn his career around and earn himself a full-time roster spot on a guaranteed contract. I personally would love to see him get more minutes, as there's always space for a 6'8" wing that can shoot, rebound, and defend. But don't let me have the last say. What do you guys think of what you've seen from Knox so far, and what should the Warriors do with his contract? What do you think is up with Steph Curry all of a sudden playing better inside the arc, and how is Jonathan Kuminga going to fit into this starting lineup? If Kerr plays his cards right, the return of Kuminga will be a devastating blow to the league. However, Kerr will not play 4 non-shooters next to Steph, and I think Pods, despite his turnaround, still has a little ways to go. Post your thoughts in the comments below. Just be sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on all your notifications so you don't miss any of my latest uploads. Thanks for watching. Till next time, swish!